Hello and welcome to the Manchester United vs Brighton preview. Here we go again. Obviously coming off of the huge win against Liverpool after the break at Anfield for United. I think there's a big narrative around this game that this is all, it's all meaningless if we don't end up beating Brighton, things like that. And while I understand the point to that, I understand that while, obviously falling off again after a big win like Liverpool, like we did against Brentford after beating Chelsea, will be fairly disruptive to this idea of consistency and everything moving forward. I don't think it means that it doesn't mean anything if you go and beat these decent teams and then you can't put in wins every single week. We're not at the point yet, United, obviously, where we're going to win every single game. It's kind of absurd to believe that we would. So there's going to be more losses, even if everything goes well. Even if we're climbing towards Champions League, even if we end up in the top 4, we're going to lose more games along the way. But I think what we really will learn from this game is this point on mental toughness and this point on focus, because while we've seen that they can still get up for big games and that they can still fight back, and that I think the Liverpool at Anfield one was even more important than ever because they didn't get down and out. And after conceding and going level, they picked it up again and went forward and got the win. A very positive sign on this mentality factor. And it is the big thing. It is the big thing that Ruben Amorim has been trying to fix and the big thing that he's felt is the biggest problem. And I would completely agree. Can we carry that mentality into the next game? If we don't, if we lose against Brighton or fail to win at home, where we have 3 wins in a row, mind you, I will be concerned, but it's different. I don't think the discussion should continue bouncing back and forth on the coach at this point in time. And frankly, it probably won't. The confidence in him and in their decision to back him and their decision to stand by him is still very strong and is very, very strong internally and is not really going to be shaken by one more game. But we have to win. We have to go out and get it, and we have to show it. If we don't, to me, it would just tell me once again that the manner of it will matter. Let's just say that. The manner of it will certainly be a factor in the conclusions from it. But right now, I'm feeling very bullish. The last few games, what I've really noted beyond the Brentford one, which to me looks like, frankly, a bit of a blip, is even with the City loss, Chelsea, Brentford, then Sunderland, then putting it together with Liverpool, there's been a consistency, actually all the way back to Burnley, quite frankly. From Burnley forward, even though results have been mixed here and there is a consistency in the way that United play, a consistency in the way that United build up attacks, a consistency in the way that United really create, a consistency in the way that United are producing chances and all of that. So long as there are the right players involved, I think the consistency is there. And this game is huge. All that I just said, this game is huge. It is a point where we can look and say, if we do win, then it shows that something has clicked. And I've seen it the last few weeks. I've seen it. It looks to me like there is something that has clicked in the last few games and they're getting it. And there's a consistency in performance. There's a way where everybody's more on the same page than they ever were before, where they're all towards the same direction and there's no drop off or fall off in the focus and the mentality and in knowing what to do, that the game plan is being followed to a T. Whatever the reasons for it, you can see it. It has changed a bit, and I think it gives us a really good chance at winning in this game against Brighton. And if we do, again, I don't think not winning means it's the end of the world again and everything's fallen down. We shouldn't get so high with the wins and so low with the losses. But if we do win, put 3 back-to-back, Sunderland, Liverpool, Brighton, what that shows us is well, they're in 7th place, so it's not really fair to call them a relegation team, but because they are a newly promoted team, a top team, league winners, and then one of these teams we struggled with the last few years in Brighton, these mid-table sides that we should be beating, but that give us a game. And why did Brighton give us a game? I've kind of been thinking about this a bit, because if we look at the last run of results here, Brighton 3-1, 2-1. We beat them 0-2. 3-1, 1-0, 2-1, 4-0. I mean, it's been bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the last 7 games we lost to them in the Premier League, all the way back until 2022. And I've thought about this and thought, is there a specific reason for this, or why would this happen? And then our run before that was consistently good. And you know what I realized, and this is where we as humans do too much pattern recognition and we read into certain things too much. It's really, really simple. Brighton are a well-run club, and that's why they're such a good test. They're a very consistent club, coach to coach, manager to manager, good recruitment ethos, styles the same, technical abilities the same. They play at about this level all the time, this like 8th to 10th level all the time. You know, they're just right there, even on that level all the time. And they play a very specific, simple way of playing football. And it's very consistent across the table. They're always performing at that level. It's United that are the yo-yo club. Brighton are real consistent. Now, there's other teams like West Ham's and Everton's and things where we don't have this kind of record against, because while we're yo-yoing, they're yo-yoing too. But Brighton are consistent. So prior to 2019, you know, Ollie, I think, yeah, that was Ollie's season into early Ten Hag, we were pretty consistently better, right? We were pretty consistently a top 4 to 6 team for most of those years, but also playing a very direct style of football that suited the way we wanted to play and suited a game plan against Brighton. Brighton will beat you if you try to technical them, because we're not good at that yet. And we haven't been good at that yet. And if you look over the last few years, if we try to play through the midfield and try to, you know, build up and do all this fancy stuff with them that they've been doing consistently for now 6-7 years and have a real strong technical flooring and a real strong style, they'll beat us at that. And we've been crap, and we've been waffling and doing all sorts of things. And we've been bad during that period. So we've been a bottom half team performance-wise during this whole period, while they're consistently mid-table. So they beat us because they're very consistent. So what that really means is that beating Brighton isn't about doing anything special. We just have to perform like a top-level team. And by top-level team, I mean just like above 8th. The way we've been performing recently, I think we'll beat Brighton. They don't have like some crazy sort of threat, you know, in a way that you might look at like a Brentford, where they have killed us at times in the past because they can play this really direct long ball football. Brighton are just consistently a certain way that will beat you if you give them the opportunity to do so by, you know, just getting too crazy and playing them at their game. We need to make them play our game, where they haven't been that good. If we look kind of by the numbers at this, Brighton are United second in expected goals. Brighton are a bit down here. They haven't created much. They've created a decent amount. You know, again, like I say, they're consistently around 8th. And then you look at their, you know, defense. It's not been that good either. I mean, ours is, we've conceded a lot of XG, but they're, you know, not that far below us. So our differential is a lot better, where how much we should have scored versus conceded is a lot better than theirs. We create more than them. Defensively, they're not amazing. You know, they're kind of down here. When you look at shots, we're still right near the top. They're right in the mid-table. Again, their shots against their like opponent stats. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Opponent stats, like they're not bad, but again, right in the middle, you know, compared to us down here. So by most measures, they're pretty much right in the middle for everything. And that's what I'm kind of saying. They're very consistent 8th to 10th place side. So we just have to have a good day. And that's why I say it's about mentality. If we can focus, if we can just put in a solid performance that's with our game plan, it will work. And one of the things is looking at kind of the matchup. Where have Brighton been really good? If you look at what they've done, you know, their best players are Rudder, Minte, and Danny Welbeck in this triangle over here on the right. So we've got to watch out for that. They've been gettable in attacking straight at them with physical players. Woltemade did well against them, you know, even though they beat Newcastle. You can get at them. You can attack them. What they want is for you to turn the ball over in the midfield, and then they want to attack you down this right side. You look at where Danny Welbeck has spent a lot of his time. floating out in that Newcastle game. He wants to get out near Minte, and Rudder over here and kind of just work down their right side and beat you via that angle there. So, it's going to be an important game where we don't lose the ball in silly positions over there, especially on that left side, which of course is a little worrying given, that's where we've had a little bit of our weaknesses technically with Dalot and things like that. If we look at kind of some of the stats, again, they're a good pressing team. Remember, lower is generally better. Not high possession. They're just below the middle. But, really it's like they're just a solid technical team. They will press well. They will hit you. They can get at you, not necessarily through super direct attacks or anything. They do take the most long shots in the league, so you kind of have to watch out for that. But again, they want to win the ball quickly, get it down that right side, and attack you. They're not sustaining huge amounts of pressure or anything like that. They will press. They're just your typical, somewhat difficult Premier League side to play. They're going to press. They're going to be able to pass it around the middle a bit. They're going to work down that right side, and they're going to hit you kind of quickly, even if it's not long and direct, and they're going to do it quite solidly. So the focus for United has to be, not losing the ball in dangerous situations. And that leads me to the lineup. Now, there's been a couple of things today about Maguire and Mount with small knocks, but they'll probably be in the squad. I think that's okay because I think it forces us to make some of the changes that we should be making anyway. This would be my selection for this. I want to see Sesko come into the team because against their center backs, we don't have to play for second balls. We can win the first balls if we want to go direct. And the ability to go direct, I think, will be huge against Brighton. That's where they struggle, I think, the most is with teams that end up going direct at them. I think we can really attack them down this side over here with Kadioglu and Dunk. I think we have the pace and the speed to beat them out that side, as we usually do against almost every team. So if we can just, the danger here is if we lose the ball trying to play through the buildup, they can punish us over on this triangle. Bruno, Shaw, Dorgu, or Dalot, they can hurt us. They really can. Welbeck is a very clever center back. It's why I was tempted thinking about playing Maguire again, but he has a knock, and so fair enough, we'll have to switch it off. Shaw has been good, so, certainly it's hard to take him out. He's done well the last few games. He's been aggressive enough. We're going to need that. But dealing with this triangle scares me a little bit against Brighton. That's my biggest fear. So we're going to have to feel it out. Similarly, I think this is where the advantage of being able to go long really helps us. I really want to see this triangle of Sesko, Cunha, and Mbeumo together with Ahmad out wide. We've not seen it yet. This triangle together with Ahmad out wide, I think it's gonna work really well. We can be very dynamic in running at them. I don't think that defensively they can handle it. Baleba will have his hands full in here, and that means we can really occupy the center backs and get at them. But the biggest matchup difference maker to me here is going to be, do we try to play through them a bit to start like we did against Sunderland for the first 20 minutes? They have a good press, a well-organized press, and, and their midfield is fairly compact. But that does mean we can get out into those wide areas. If we do so, we can't lose it because they can absolutely punish us over here. The second thing then is, that's why we need to have Sesko in here, because I think the ability to go long against Brighton, to go direct, is one of the reasons we used to beat them under Solskjaer so consistently, is going direct at a team like that. They struggle to handle it. They haven't quite zagged to this direct football that the Premier League is playing yet. They're just consistent enough to beat a lot of teams, but they haven't quite zagged to this directing. That's why they were able to beat City, because City tried to, have struggled to play their own game and hadn't really got going as of yet in the more direct way they're playing through Holland now. So I think we can beat them by being more direct. So it's another game where I think being able to go long into Sesko will make a big difference. So if we go with this team, Maguire and Mount out, Cunha and or Sesko and Lenny in, we've got the pace. I still wonder about maybe getting Yoro on that side and getting Mazraoui in, so we have a little bit more coverage over on this side against that Minte, Rudder, and Welbeck situation. That's going to be the danger area. If we lose it in the midfield, in the build-up there, we'll be in trouble. Alternatively, if we can get the ball out into our right side, we can get ahead of them. If we go behind to Brighton, that's where they can be really difficult to deal with, because then it's harder to get at them directly. They will play you, but once they have a lead, they can sit off a bit, and that'll make it harder to get through them. So it's going to be interesting. Can we play through them? Can we build up against them? Because if we can, we will find huge spaces in behind to get to. Or do we have to play direct? And if we do play direct, I think that can work as well. It's just playing through them is a little more risky, obviously, potentially more reward, more control, more possession. We're at home, but we can go direct. And we're going to see, again, a big question on this balance. But the biggest thing we can't do, don't lose the ball into that press. That right side can hurt us quickly. That's my worry. If we get a lead and we're settled in, I think it's going to be hard for them to break us down. But yeah, don't lose the ball in the press on their right side, on our left. And then be willing to play direct. I'm happy to see us play direct if that's what works and keeps us from making silly turnovers and things like that cost us in the end. So if we go with the lineup that I think we will, which is this, I could honestly see Dalot playing again just because he has 2 games in a row and we've won both, even though he's been really poor. If we go with the same lineup like this, I think we'll win 2-0 and it'll be really solid at home. The biggest things, though, I know I'm not always happy with the lineup. The biggest things are this cannot change. This can't change. Obviously, we know Lamens is going to start. Ahmad has to start. Lamens has to start. And I think we need Sesko on the pitch for this one because we really are going to need to be able to go direct. And I don't think the second ball's way is going to work quite as well against Brighton because they have a bit more energetic dynamic in the way that their midfield is set up compared to Liverpool. So we need to be able to win the first ball. And that means we need Sesko, and I think that can really hurt him. So Sesko, Ahmad, Lamens. Those are the 3 things. Beyond that, I think you can be fairly flexible against Brighton and get the win. Okay, that's what I've got for this video. If we do that, 2-0. 2-0, 3 wins on the bounce, and United into the maybe top 7 by the end of the weekend. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, and I will catch you in the next one.